To see which dog would be suitable to become a guide dog, the woman called them all. All the dogs ran happily toward her except for one small puppy who just stood there in confusion. After a while, it finally trotted over slowly, then sat down and stared blankly at its owner. But it was that calm-tempered little puppy that was chosen as the most qualified to become a guide dog. And so, the little dog left its first owner and was flown to a guide dog training center. But the instructors didn't immediately begin the training. Instead, they placed the puppy with a foster family because it needed to feel loved so that it would later be able to trust humans. It spent a happy childhood there. But a year passed quickly, and the day to say goodbye finally came. They walked together under the cherry blossoms for a long time until the now-grown dog was placed into a car. The two people who had cared for it tried to stay strong, but as the car drove away, they couldn't help but chase after it. They eventually stopped at the corner of the street and waved, knowing that the dog now had a greater mission. It was the second farewell for the dog. Then came the time for it to be at the training center. After a few days of basic training, the trainer assumed the dog was just average. Until one day, the trainer threw a ball and the other dogs rushed to chase it. But this dog stayed lying down and continued waiting. Long enough for the trainers to finish working with the other dogs. And when the trainer saw that it was still waiting, he stared in disbelief, never expecting such natural discipline from the dog. Even more surprising was its memory. During road training, it easily remembered every glance and every turn. Eventually, the guide dog assessment began. When the starting gun sounded, the other dogs panicked and ran around. But this dog calmly sat in place. It became the first to officially qualify as a guide dog. But one day during training, the trainer saw a blind man on the street. He hurried over to the man and asked to try walking with the dog. But the man didn't believe a dog could guide him. Only after the trainer promised that a 10-minute walk could be done in 5 minutes did the man reluctantly grab the harness. At first, they were completely out of sync. The man was afraid of the dog and refused to acknowledge it. He walked stiffly and kept double-checking every turn. He didn't trust the dog at all. But even so, they eventually reached their destination in just 5 minutes. He began to realize how different guide dogs were and wanted to keep the dog. However, to officially register, they had to pass the bonding test. It turned out the man still didn't trust it, as he left the dog far behind at the door. The next day, when they reached a crosswalk, the dog stopped as it should. But the man insisted on walking and was almost hit by a car. The trainer reminded him to praise the dog. But he did so in such a harsh tone that it sounded more like criticism. The dog sensed its owner's sadness and wagged its tail to comfort him. The man was moved, and in the end, he began to trust the dog as his companion.